What's up guys, my name is Lisa, thank you so much for checking in. Blizzard revealed a whole bunch of new cards and we're going to talk briefly about any of them. So let's dive straight in because it's really exciting stuff. The first one, Hydrologist. This is a Paladin card and it's actually pretty decent. For a 2-drop, to attack 2 HP is decent enough if it has a good battle cry or a good mechanic tied next to it. And just from a value perspective, this seems to be pretty okay. I mean, you can discover a secret, and there will be about 5 secrets in the game when Journey to Un'Goro hits live, unless they release more secrets, of course. But you get to discover one, so that's nice because you get to pick one. Like you can pick a getaway Kodo, for example, which will return Tyrion to your hand when you die. When he dies, when you die, you lost game. So, but you can basically pick a secret that's appropriate for the match. It gives you to do it gives you something to do at turn 2, especially when you play the Paladin quest on turn 1. It will just curve out decent. I'm also really curious what having all these quests will do to the amount of 1-drops we'll see. It's really a shame that the camel package, which summons the injured Kvaldir, rotates out, because that would obviously be really good if nobody would ever win 1-drops. But let's not talk about that too much, because we're talking about new cards here. So Hydrologist also got released by Savage, which is one of my favorite streamers. If you haven't checked them out, definitely do so. I'll put a link up somewhere. So let's talk about the next one, Mimic Pot. This is a rogue spell. It costs 3 mana and it basically lets you draw a card out of your deck and gives you an additional copy of it. So that's pretty decent, but it's a card. It's not necessarily a minion, and this will be important for the rogue quest we'll talk about after this one. But yeah, this is basically an arcane intellect for rogue. It also has this sweet spot at 3 mana, where casting preparation will turn this into a 0 mana spell. So that's kind of nice. If this would have been like a 4 mana spell or a 2 mana spell with some additional effects, that would not fit the rogue class as good as a 3 mana spell. So I think that's kind of nice. So let's talk about the rogue quest while we're at it. Caverns below and the crystal core. It basically wants you to play 4 minions with the same name. So that's kind of interesting. It says play, it doesn't say summon, so you can't get away with summoning all kinds of stuff. You probably want to run this with stuff like Shadowcaster, Galvadon, Ferryman, Shadowstep, Youthful Brewmaster, stuff like that. Well, or with the Mimic Pod, because if you do get a minion, you obviously already can play 2 of them, and there will be another copy in your deck. So that already gives 3. But the thing with this quest is it requires a lot of setup to play 4 minions to play with the same name. It basically requires you to duplicate a card 2 times, and that's really awkward, because it needs lots of cards to function. So that always makes me wonder if it's worth it, especially compared like the priest quest, which just requires you to play 10 death rattle minions. That's easier to fulfill basically. And also what it wants to do, I mean, if you complete the quest, you get a 5 mana card or a 5 mana spell you need to play, so you actually get the effect. I mean, 5 mana, that's a lot. So it's kind of interesting that it will transform the minions on the board as well. But honestly, I'm not too sure. Well, we're probably going to see it, but people will experiment a lot with it, so that will be very interesting to see. But it's, I don't know, 5 mana spell to get the effect is a lot, and what it also makes you do is play a lot of small minions in your deck, because you want it to be a buff. You don't want your 7/7 to be turned into a 5/5 when you play the quest. So somebody on Reddit, I believe, raised a very good point that if you have a lot of early aggressive minions with charge and stuff like that, which is basically what you want to do when they turn all into 5/5s, and you also need draw. So if you got a lot of draw and a lot of early aggression, why would you need to play this quest? Because then you'll win anyway. You win the game if you got early aggression and you don't run out of steam because you got enough draw. You don't need this quest. You don't need your minions to turn into 5/5s. So, yeah, I'm not too sure about this one. It's definitely an interesting mechanic, but it has some problems with it as well. So, yeah, only time will tell. Maybe Blizzard will print some cards that will be really good in addition to this one. So, let's head on to the next one. Tol'vir Stoneshaper. Well, this guy is basically a Senjin in an elemental deck. It shouldn't be too hard to play a minion on turn on the turn before you play this, on turn 3, and because you're probably mulliganing for early elementals to drop anyway, so yeah, it will probably curve out, and this will be a pretty decent card if you intend to go late game, because it's often obviously a pretty good defensive card. So yeah, it's a nice addition to elemental decks, really. So while we're at the elementals, let's talk about the new Shaman legendary, Kalimos. Well, this guy just seems to be like insanely strong. It's very flexible. You get to play, or you get to choose an invocation, air, earth, fire, or water. And the invocation of air basically is like a 3 damage, deal 3 damage to all the enemy minions. So that's obviously ridiculously strong. The invocation of earth is basically an Onyxia battle cry where it fills up your board with 1/1 minions, which could be really interesting if you're setting up a 2-turn lethal with bloodlust or stuff like that. And then we have the invocations of fire and water, which the invocation of fire basically is a fireball to the opponent's hero's face. It's 6 damage and you can only use it on the opponent's hero. And the invocation of water restores 12 health to your hero, and that's only usable on your hero, so you can't heal your minions with it. So yeah, this is a really amazing elemental to play. I think a lot of shamans will run this, and definitely all elemental shamans will run this. I'm wondering what packages we will see in shaman decks next to the elemental packages, but yeah, this guy will be played a lot. Also, what's interesting to note is that Doomsayer will still be in the game when Journey to Angkor Crater hits live, and Doomsayers will really disrupt the Shaman or just any elemental deck's game plan, really, because it clears the board and it also prevents you from playing the follow-up elemental. Like, imagine if you played an elemental on turn 7, you got some board, but you don't got enough board to kill off a Doomsayer. Like, just imagine you can deal with it. Well, then you get basically to choose, do you play Kalimos and pray for the best and lose him right afterwards? I mean, it's really disruptive because the elemental game plan is really telegraphed. If you're playing certain elementals, there will be certain elementals to play at certain turns, like Kalimos in Shaman matchup, obviously, and that's it opens up a window to play around certain things, like to set up your burst or to use the Alexstrasza in a turn where you know they can't play a powerful follow-up elemental. So really interesting to see what it will do with the elementals. I think playing around stuff like this and knowing what are really the key turns for any elemental deck will be key to having a good experience on the ladder, where you can win a lot against the elemental decks. So yeah, a kind of really interesting mechanic where it opens up a lot of choices, and that's always healthy for a card game like this. So that's pretty cool. So let's talk about the legendary, the Paladin God, and if I'm not mistaken, this will be the reward for completing the Paladin quest. It's a 5 mana card that summons, or it's a 5 mana 5/5 minion, so that's pretty decent. It's just the stats are decent. I mean, Azure Drake is a 4/4 for 5 mana, and that's rotating out, you know. And this gives you the ability to adapt, and adapt a lot. So that's pretty nice because with the adapt you can it gives you the ability to adapt 5 times. I mean, that's a lot, and that will probably mean that you can pick the right adapt in order for it to stick a turn. There are quite some interesting adapts which I'll show you on the screen right now. I mean, you can make sure the enemy can target it with spells, or you can give it stealth and stuff like that, and you give it a lot of attack. Um, yeah, it's just really solid. It's pretty good. This blows stuff like Stranglethorn Tigers just out of the water. But that's probably okay. That's probably a good thing because it is a quest reward after all. So yeah, you'll need to put some effort in getting this, but once you get it, it will be really good. Just imagine giving this stealth. Um, well, you probably won't play it on curve because you won't have completed your quest, but just imagine giving this stealth and playing like a, what's it called, dino size, right? Then you got all of a sudden this stealth at 10-10 minion, and maybe it will have a divine shield as well, and it will have wind fury as well, because you can adapt to give it stealth, wind fury, and divine shield. So yeah, you can probably do amazing stuff with it. I think Paladin will be a strong archetype when Journey to Un'Goro Crater hits live. Really interesting card, really flexible, so it should suit a lot of different situations pretty good. So yeah, pretty excited, pretty cool cards. While Kalimos just pushed me over the edge, I will just be playing Shaman when Journey to Un'Goro hits live. I mean, okay Blizzard, I will play Shaman because with the new quest, looks pretty cool with the Vinja package. I'm really looking forward to this one. And yeah, playing Kalimos with a lot of elementals, that will be a pretty sweet combination. So I'll be sure to play that, and I will share my deck list with you, of course, on this channel. So make sure to subscribe, give me a like if you liked the video, and I'll see you guys next time.